What if a city rebuilt itself after disaster? From these Lisbon hilltops, you'll see why. Stay with me. Lisbon's greatest twist is about to unfold. Find a bench. Breathe. In seconds, you'll glimpse the moment that split Lisbon's history in two. Terracotta roofs glow, but beneath them lies a story of quakes, fire, and audacity that remade this map. Down below, the wide Tagus River glitters like a sheet of hammered silver, its surface dotted with tiny ferries and sailboats. The city unfolds in a patchwork of colors and textures. You see the tight, winding lanes of old neighborhoods and the grand, open squares of newer ones, all connected by a web of streets. As you gaze out from a place like the Miradoro de Santa Lucia, you begin to notice the details that give Lisbon its unique character. The white walls of the buildings are often decorated with brilliant blue tiles that catch the light. A bright yellow tram looks like a toy from this distance, slowly making its way up a steep, narrow track. You can just make out the green canopy of trees in a hidden courtyard, or the laundry hanging from a balcony, fluttering in the gentle breeze. This view from above is more than just a pretty picture. It is a slow, quiet revelation of a city built in layers, where history is etched into the very stones of its streets. The city's 7 hills provide these natural balconies, each offering a slightly different perspective. From one, you might see the imposing Castelo de São Jorge, from another, the elegant suspension bridge over the river. On November 1st, 1755, Lisbon was one of Europe's richest cities. It was All Saints' Day, and the grand churches were filled. Then, a massive earthquake struck. For terrifying minutes, the city was shaken apart. Fires ignited by church candles raged for days, and survivors fleeing to the waterfront were met by enormous tsunamis. In a matter of hours, the capital was reduced to a smoldering, waterlogged wasteland. The event sent shockwaves across Europe, but for Lisbon, the challenge was to survive and reinvent itself from the rubble. In the chaotic aftermath of the disaster, one man took decisive control. He was Sebastião José de Carvalho e Melo, better known as the Marquis of Pombal, the king's prime minister. While others were paralyzed by shock and grief, Pombal famously declared, "Bury the dead and heal the living." He acted swiftly, organizing firefighting efforts, distributing food, and maintaining order. But his vision went far beyond immediate relief. He saw the destruction not just as a tragedy, but as a unique opportunity to create a new modern and more rational city from the ground up. This ambitious project would become known as the Pombaline plan. Pombal rejected the idea of simply rebuilding the old medieval city with its cramped, winding streets. Instead, he gathered a team of military engineers and architects to design something entirely new for the flattened downtown area. They created a master plan based on a strict geometric grid. The new district, the Baixa Pombalina, featured wide, straight streets arranged in a perfect rectangular pattern. This design was not just for aesthetics, it was for safety and efficiency. The wide avenues would allow for better circulation of air and light. They would also serve as fire breaks to prevent another uncontrollable blaze from spreading. The buildings themselves were also revolutionary. Pombal's engineers developed the world's first large-scale, seismically protected constructions. They created a flexible wooden framework known as the Gaiola Pombalina, or Pombaline cage, which was designed to be built into the masonry walls. This internal skeleton allowed the buildings to sway and dissipate the energy of an earthquake rather than cracking and collapsing. While the downtown area was completely redesigned, other parts of Lisbon were left largely untouched. High on a hill overlooking the river, the old Moorish district of Alfama survived the earthquake with less damage. Its foundations were built on dense, solid rock, which helped it withstand the shaking that had liquefied the soil in the lower parts of the city. As a result, walking into Alfama today feels like stepping back in time, into a Lisbon that existed long before 1755. Here, you won't find the wide, straight avenues of the Baixa. Instead, you will discover a dense and delightful labyrinth of narrow, cobblestoned alleys. The streets of Alfama twist and turn, following the natural contours of the hill. They are so narrow in places that you can stretch out your arms and almost touch the buildings on both sides. The neighborhood is a maze of hidden stairways, tiny squares, dead-end courts. Getting lost here is not a problem. It is part of the experience. As you wander, you'll stumble upon charming scenes of daily life. An elderly woman watering her geraniums in a window box, a cat napping on a sun-drenched doorstep, a distant fado guitar drifting from an open window. This is the historic soul of the city, a place that feels intimate and lived in. The architecture here is a jumble of styles that have accumulated over centuries. Houses packed tightly together, pastel-colored walls, chipping paint, decorative tiles, iron balconies overflowing with plants, lines of laundry strung between buildings, adding a splash of color to the narrow sky. At the very top of the hill stands the Castelo de São Jorge, the ancient castle. From its ramparts, look down over tangled rooftops and across the river. Alfama stands in stark contrast to the orderly Baixa below. It is a city of two distinct personalities. Baixa, reason. Baixa, order. Baixa, the triumph of planning. Alfama, memory. Alfama, emotion. Alfama, organic growth of a community over time. It serves as a living museum, a reminder of the medieval and Moorish city that was almost completely lost. Exploring its winding lanes offers a visceral connection to the past, a quiet, human-scale counterpoint to the grand, monumental vision that rose from the earthquake's ruins. When you descend from the hills of Alfama into the Baixa district, the change is striking. The tangled alleys give way to a landscape of impressive order and symmetry. This is the Lisbon the Marquis of Pombal built. Its heart is the magnificent Praça do Comércio, a vast square on the Tagus River designed to be Lisbon's formal reception hall. From here, a grid of wide, straight streets unfolds, lined with uniform neoclassical buildings. The entire district is a historical document written in stone. It tells the story of a city that faced catastrophe, not with despair, but with a bold, optimistic vision for a better future. One of the most captivating features of Lisbon, decorative tiles that seem to cover every surface. These tiles, known as azulejos, are much more than decoration. They are an essential part of the city's identity. You'll find them on the facades of grand churches, on the walls of simple homes, inside train stations, on park benches. They create vast narrative panels telling the stories of Portugal, or form repeating geometric patterns that bring rhythm and unity to the streets. These tiles connect the past to the present, adding a layer of handmade beauty to the fabric of the city. They are Lisbon's signature art form. Navigating Lisbon's 7 hills is made possible by its charming public transport. The city is famous for its bright yellow trams that rattle and screech up steep, narrow streets. The most legendary is Tram 28, taking you on a spectacular journey through historic neighborhoods. To move between the city's levels, the most iconic solution is the Santa Justa lift. This striking neo-Gothic iron tower, designed by a student of Gustave Eiffel, offers breathtaking panoramic views from the top. These trams and elevators are more than just transport. They are moving pieces of history, an integral part of Lisbon's character and old-world style. Not everything that was destroyed in the 1755 earthquake was rebuilt. In a powerful and deliberate choice, the ruins of the Carmo convent were left standing as a permanent reminder of the disaster. Today, the roofless shell stands open to the sky, its pointed arches framing patches of blue. Walking among the stone pillars, among the broken walls, is profoundly moving. You can feel the immense scale of the original building and imagine the terror of the moment it all came crashing down during that fateful All Saints' Day service. The decision to preserve the Carmo ruins was a stroke of genius. It serves as a memorial to the thousands who lost their lives, a silent, solemn monument to the city's greatest tragedy. But it is also a lesson in history and geology. It stands as a stark warning of the power of nature and a testament to the earthquake-resistant techniques developed in response. By leaving the church in its ruined state, planners ensured future generations would never forget. It is a scar the city wears with solemn pride. Today, the ruins house a small archaeological museum, but the main exhibit is the structure itself. The absence of a roof creates a unique and beautiful space. Sunlight streams in, casting dramatic shadows across the stone floor. Birds fly through empty window frames. At night, you can see stars through skeletal arches. The convent is a place for quiet contemplation, where history, art, and nature converge. It is one of Lisbon's most hauntingly beautiful sights, a symbol of devastating loss and enduring beauty in ruin. The preservation reflects Lisbon's character, a city that honors its past without being trapped by it. It shows a willingness to confront painful history and learn. This mindful reconstruction is visible throughout the city. Lessons from 1755 led to civic pride in engineering and planning. The city didn't just rebuild, it improved. The ruins are the dramatic starting point, the before that explains the orderly after of the Pombaline Baixa just down the hill. For all its grand history and monumental architecture, Lisbon remains a city that feels wonderfully human and accessible. This is most evident in its many small squares and the rhythm of its daily life. Away from the Grand Praça do Comércio, you'll find countless smaller public spaces that act as outdoor living rooms. A small square might be little more than benches under a shady tree. A small square might have a fountain. A small square might have a kiosk selling coffee and newspapers. These are the places where the city breathes, where neighbors meet to chat and watch the world go by. The city's commercial life retains a charming, traditional scale. While you can find modern shopping streets, the real joy is in exploring old-fashioned, family-run shops. You might discover a tiny glove shop selling only elegant leather gloves, or a store dedicated entirely to canned fish, tins stacked to the ceiling. These lojas com historia, shops with history, are protected as heritage. They offer a glimpse into a bygone era of specialized craftsmanship and personal service. The shopkeeper knows their customers by name. The daily rhythm of Lisbon is relaxed and unhurried. Mornings begin with the simple pleasure of a coffee and a pastel de nata at a local pastry shop. The afternoons are for long lunches, and the evenings are for strolling. Even in the bustling city center, there is a sense of calm. People take their time. This gentle pace encourages visitors to slow down and savor the moment. It's a city that invites you to wander without a plan, to sit at a cafe for an hour, or to simply listen to the sounds of the neighborhood. The wide sidewalks of the Baixa were designed for strolling. The small squares of Alfama provide necessary open space in a dense environment. The trams and elevators make the hills manageable for everyone. From the man selling roasted chestnuts on a street corner to the family sharing a meal at a tiny restaurant, the city is a mosaic of small, everyday moments. It is this focus on the simple human aspects of life that gives Lisbon its warmth and its welcoming, intimate feel. On a warm evening, find your way back to a Miradouro. Stand at the railing. Look out as the setting sun paints the city in shades of gold and pink. The light catches the tiled roofs, making them glow. Below, the streetlights begin to flicker on, tracing the grid in Baixa, the winding curves of Alfama. You might hear the faint, melancholic notes of a fado song drifting up from a nearby restaurant. You can smell the sea on the breeze, and the scent of grilled sardines from a nearby kitchen. In this quiet moment, all the pieces of Lisbon's story come together. The city you see before you is a masterpiece of resilience. It is a place that was almost completely erased from the map, yet it refused to disappear. Instead, it used its moment of greatest loss as a catalyst for innovation and renewal. The earthquake of 1755 did not break Lisbon's spirit, it forged it. The city learned to build stronger, to plan smarter, and to value both the logic of its new design and the memory of its old heart. This duality is what makes Lisbon so compelling. It is a city of reason. It is a city of romance. It holds grand plans, and it hides quiet secrets. The beauty of Lisbon is not just in its sunny views or colorful tiles. It is in the story of how they got there. It is in the careful engineering of the Pombaline cage, the defiant survival of Alfama's alleys, and the solemn grace of the Carmo ruins. It is in the trams that climb impossible hills, and the elegant squares that replaced a smoldering wasteland. The city's charm is born from a deep understanding of its own vulnerability and a profound respect for the past. It is a beauty that was earned through hardship and built with intention. As you stand there, watching the last light fade over the Tagus, you realize that Lisbon's true soul lies in this balance. It is a city that teaches us that strength can emerge from tragedy, that beauty can be planned, and that a community's heart can survive even the most devastating blow.